Good morning. I'm Georgiana Schreier, your celebration leader today, and I get to introduce our speaker and musician, which is really a thrill for me. We are blessed to have two such accomplished and dedicated people with us today. Sharon Marquart has been teaching, writing, and using her art to share what it means to live a centered life with joy and purpose for the last 30 years. That says a lot. Her current workshop is Living with Soulful Purpose. She is a member of our spiritual center and a licensed unity teacher, and we are just blessed to have her. Pat Wicker is a singer, guitarist, composer, and teacher. He is music director of note, teaching workshops on writing. Checking out our website for even more details on these dedicated and committed people. Because if I listed it all, it'd be half the service. They are that accomplished. And we are blessed. And now for our gathering song, bringing in Pat.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start with an old gospel tune that was from the 1920s, written by Blind Willie Johnson. Yes, God. God don't never change. Yes, God always will be God. God in the middle of the ocean, God in the middle of the sea. By the help of the great Creator, truly been a God to me. Well, He's God. God don't never change. He's God. Always will be God. God in creation. God when Adam fell. God way up in heaven. Oh, God that's ringing the bell. Well, He's God. God don't ever change. Yes, God always will be God. God in the time of sickness, God in the doctor too. In the time of the influenza, surely was a God to you. Well, He's God. God don't never change. Yes, God always will be God. God in the pulpit, God way down at the door. He's God in the amen corner, God all over the floor. Well, He's God. God don't never change. He's God. Always will be God. Always will be God. Always will be God. This is a song written by Tom Prasada Rao and Tom Kimmel. It's called See Myself in You. If I met you on the corner would I know you as you are? Would I take you for a stranger and brush past you in the door? If you called me, would I hear you? Would I walk away too soon? If I lingered for a moment, would I see myself in you? If I fought you as a soldier, if I had you in my sight, would you ask me to remember who imagined I was right? If you witnessed my surrender, do I know what I would do? If you held me like my brother, would I see myself in you? Well, I dreamed my end was near, I was almost gone. If I dreamed that dream from here, can I still come home? If you call me, would I hear you? Do I know what I would do? If you held me like my lover, would I see myself in you? If you held me like my mother, would I see myself in you?
Thank you, Pat. That's beautiful. I love your choice of songs today. God in the ocean, God in the sea, and God in me. And would I see myself in you? How wonderful. They tie right in. What I'm going to talk about today is unity, practical Christianity. When I first got involved with unity, I loved that idea. Practical Christianity. What is that? It had a byline that said, making the teachings of Jesus Christ practical and relevant to everyday life. I don't know that they use that anymore, but that is what was the byline in the past. A little bit of background I want to offer you. So unity, if you don't know, many of you right now have been a part of our unity community, but once we get on YouTube and out in the world, perhaps you don't know anything about unity. But unity was founded as a healing ministry, a prayer ministry, and a metaphysical Christian ministry. I'll explain some of that later. And they believed that Jesus was the way shower, a master teacher. And it was founded by Myrtle and Charles Fillmore. Myrtle was a Methodist by faith, and she suffered from tuberculosis her whole life. And many people, well, her whole life until her healing, but many of her family members died at a very early age out of, they called it back then, consumption. And Charles was not very religious, but he was more a scientist and mathematician. Back then, the study of math, of the calculation of how the world was put together, and it was a very important part of the study. And so Charles had a skating accident when he was a child, and it left him with a short leg, a loss of hearing in one ear and one eye. And he had to wear a brace on his leg, plus he had to walk with crutches. And after the ministry, and they put in their healing energies and developed this movement called Unity, Myrtle lived to be 86 years old, and Charles ended up straightening out his leg, gaining 3.5 inches onto his leg, having some sight and hearing returned, and he walked with a cane in his later years. And so Charles states he never set out to start a new religion. In meditation, he came up with the name Unity. And Unity, he thought, this is a movement. This is part of a movement. I'm going to share a little bit about this New Age movement that was coming into the country when they were founding, getting connected with this New Age movement and all that it brought, new thought movement, actually. And so Charles thought that unity would be adaptable to anybody of any faith, any religion, any belief system. And that was his goal, to have it be something that could make your belief system even stronger. Now, I think it's important to look at the background. What was the country about in late 1800s? Well, the average age of in 1800s, the average age was 40 years old till you died. You could rent an apartment, a 2-room apartment in New York City for $10 to $13. Your average income was about $500 a year, and you could buy a house for about $1,000 to $5,000. A postage stamp was only 2 cents. The other important part was the medical system. People called hospitals houses of death, because if you got ill, you probably had some herbal tonic or concoction that your parents or grandparents or the local medicine doctor would have given you. And you went to hospital pretty much to be taken out of pain. And some of the medicines that they use in the hospital was opium, cocaine, arsenic, mercury. It pretty much was to get you out of pain till your body either healed itself or you died. So we could see why they were called houses of death. Aspirin wasn't invented till the early 1900s. And they didn't, the study of germs and bacteria was just coming into focus. So they weren't very sanitary places. Sick people went to get sick. And so I'm sure, given this is the state of the country, the reason this is important to me is because this is what was going on in the country. This is how life was. And then this new thought movement came in through the New England states. And I can just imagine how Charles, in his scientific mind, was excited about hearing about this new thought. Now, he lived in the Midwest, so how did he hear about it from New England? Well, there was a woman named Mary Baker Eddy, and she is the inspiration for Christian Science So that appealed to Myrtle, Christian, and Science to Charles. The Christian Science religion was formed, and the belief was the only reason that we get sick is because we are out of alignment with our true nature. Because part of this new thought was taking a look at Christianity under new thought. And so Mary Marquart also believed that Jesus was a master teacher and a way shower. So with that, how did she uh, practice? How did they get yourself aligned? So she believed in reading scriptures, in prayer. They actually ordained ministers as a religion, but they also had practitioners. And much like we would do today, go to someone who maybe has Reiki and energy healing and helps you get realigned in your body. Part of the new thought was this exciting concept of mind-body connection. That was part of the new thought back in the late 1800s, the mind-body connection, the study of our consciousness and how our consciousness, the way we thought about the way we lived, the way we thought about our bodies, really gave us the kind of life that we were going to live. And Charles and Myrtle were very excited about this. A woman who was a minister from Christian Science, Emma Curtis Hopkins, she moved to Chicago and took Christian Science to a city. She opened up the Christian Science Metaphysical Seminary, where you could learn about Christian Science and where you could become a minister or a practitioner. They also had many people who did traveling lectures. That was a big thing in the late 1800s. So they had rented a lecture hall and gave a lecture. And this is where Myrtle and Charles hooked on to Christian Science because Dr. E.B. Weeks gave a lecture. And in this lecture, he said, I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. Myrtle heard that and thought, well, she was taught her whole life that she did inherit sickness. So they took that, she took that home with her and they practiced and studied. So the one tradition that Myrtle did was she sat across from the picture of Jesus. She had two chairs. One she sat in and one had Jesus. And during her prayer time, she would go through the organs of her body and apologize to them for believing that she inherited this sickness. And so it was about using our mind and our thoughts, thus the new thought system. And then Myrtle and Charles also studied, let's look at the Christian scriptures in new light. So if Jesus was a teacher, what did he teach us? And so that became part of their study. Charles Filmer, as a youth, he was a printer he worked in a print shop. So they would create flyers and banners and printers with this new information on. Just a little aside, that is the reason they broke away from Christian Science, because Mary Baker Eddy, as founder of the religion, she also believed that she was the only one that could get that insight and have the inspirations. And she had certain rules, as religion has certain rules that had to be followed. And the breakaway was unity, religious science, a science of mind, because those men who were having their own insights and their own way of perceiving began to print and write books and to print out flyers and hold their own meetings. And that's how they broke away and formed their own thoughts about this. And so practical Christianity became, I like that byline, the teachings of Jesus Christ make them practical and relevant to everyday life, which has to do with my thinking. It has to do with, what did Jesus teach? And so we have to look at some of the what is recorded in the scriptures that he said. You know, Jesus never called himself a healer. He never called himself the one and only child of God. Is that just said when someone was healed and they wanted to worship him, what did he always say? Well, the scriptures in Mark tell us, your faith has made you well. He also said, pray believing. So we had to take personal responsibility for the way we think about the world. He also said prayer is that to go in the quiet, secret place, to have a connection with God. He also said the kingdom of God is within you. That is probably the number one teaching that makes unity different than mainline Christianity, because the kingdom of heaven is within us. We don't have to wait till we die. Now, it's interesting because for centuries, way back in 3000 or 300 AD, or way back when the Greeks started philosophy, they said the omnipresence of God. Now, the Christian says there is an omnipresence of God that we believe in, except if you're a sinner. Then you don't have the omnipresence of God. And so we have to have a bridge from the separated sinner to become one with the omnipresence of God. And so Jesus became the Christos, the Christ, the enlightened one. Jesus never said, I'm the Messiah you've been waiting for. He just said, the Father's in me and I am in you. He empowered people. So when he went around teaching, he didn't really need to have disciples that were following him or following. That's why he would relocate. He didn't set up camp and say, here's where we are, come and join us. Is that he went out as a teacher. And remember, this was a whole different culture. It was in Eastern, it was in Rome and Israel and Egypt and the Eastern culture, the Eastern countries. And so there was a whole different philosophy that he was teaching, because there were many master teachers, many people who were enlightened, who were more aware. It's just that when it comes to this country, we had to call it New Thought. One of the New Thought uh, practitioners, was hypnosis. Hypnosis, which is mind over matter, mind control. And so that was part of this New Thought. Now, let's look at some of the scriptures in this concept of oneness and divine source. So the scriptures were in Mark 11:24. It says, whatever you ask in prayer, ask believing it shall be yours. Jesus also said in Luke, the kingdom of God is within you. So he would preach that. And he was really pushing back on people as they were trying to make him their savior, their Messiah. He kept pushing back and telling them, you have it too. What I can do, you can do, and even more than I can do. I'm just setting an example. When he said, follow me, it's like, follow me and what I do, how I know I'm connected, and how I have my purpose of letting God move through me. In Matthew and Mark, again, he said, your faith has made you well. And they redefined salvation by saying this concept of atonement, at-one-ment. And so Jesus practiced that at being one. The birds of the air and the flowers of the field is taken care of. You're looking at it in a wrong way. Now, they were looking at it from only the Old Testament, believing that the Messiah was going to come. And now they made the Jesus to be the one that is going to lead them. But he meant lead them by example. Follow what I do. So the shift that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore did is a shift from the historic Jesus to the Jesus as our teacher. And it gave a whole different relationship that we can have with God. So Unity Church is practical Christianity. So it believes that the Bible is allegories, fables, it's quotes, it says our quotes, the belief system that we can interpret how we would like to interpret. The one thing about unity is you have to take personal responsibility. It's a one-on-one. It's you and your relationship to God, to the divine self. To believe that we are all children of God and that we have the ability to use our thoughts in determining how we want to see the world. You know, in Genesis, it says that God gave Adam and Eve, the authority to name each creature. Now, I interpret that as I have authority to name what happens in my world. Something could happen, and I could see it as somebody doing something against me. I could say, oh my gosh, that's so horrible. Or I could say, I don't know what the lesson here is. I don't know why I had this experience. I could work with the kingdom of heaven. I could work with that energy within me to ask, receiving, what is this about? What am I to learn here? How can I see this differently? I had the option of seeing things as horrible and against me, and I'm sort of a human trying to get around in the world. Or I can see myself as a divine presence, as a soulful energy, as a drop in this ocean of God. I am part of oneness. I can see myself in you and you in me. And so how do I behave differently? How do I treat people and how do I treat experiences? I can name this as see that every day, every experience offers me a gift. What is the gift that I'm going to get out of this experience? Can I receive it? Can I accept it? Can I take it in? Now, in a traditional sense, we have to wait till we die to get to heaven. And we don't know if we're going to get there. We won't know till that time comes. And this is why this form of Christianity became very important to me, because I know that I could live heaven and earth right now. I can say this is heaven. I could say I have, who do we say lives in heaven? Angels, spirits, guide, intuition. I could say I have access to that right now. And how am I going to take that in, have a living dialogue conversation? Even the energy of Jesus. Can I take that in and have a conversation? Can I ask and receive? Can I believe that I get guidance and direction? And can I allow that to let me be this, as we often say, the hands and feet of God? And how does that happen? That happens with prayer. That happens with believing. That happens with, nowadays, you know, we have evolved so much in the last 100 years because I could say, let's meditate, and everybody knows what we're going to do. You know, that wasn't even a word back then. That was silent prayer. Unity does affirming prayer. So we don't do begging, beseeching. We affirm what we know to be the truth. And we use words of affirmation as we pray. We have silent prayer, which could be often said listening to God. So prayer could be talking to God, and meditation is listening to God. Unity came up with, a Unity minister, Emily Cady. She wrote a book called Lessons in Truth, believing there's one truth, and this was the truth. And the lessons in truth, often unity, to become a member of a Unity church, you're asked to read this book, to study it. Can you align your thinking with this? And some of it is about a statement of being, knowing that I believe in the omnipresence of God, all the omnis. I believe I'm part of the source. It's one ocean of humanity, and I am one drop of water in that humanity. And I'm always connected to the elements of the ocean. I may appear to be separate, but I'm always connected and part of this ocean of divine. Also, it's about our thinking. Am I willing to take responsibility for the way I think? Am I what I was going to say Debbie Downer? Am I a person who doubts? Am I a person who questions? That's okay, but am I a person who has a guard up and doesn't believe? I live cautiously, or am I a person that allows my thoughts to take me to a place of, as I said, receive the gift, seeing that life is beautiful and wonderful, and that I can extend love into the world. We do believe that when we die, we're going to go to a place that's all loving, all kind, all loving, good energy. Everyone who goes to heaven becomes a very good, loving, kind person because we know that they have been forgiven of any sins that they had on earth and they can get to heaven. And so if I'm going to live heaven every day, I have to believe that I can tap into the goodness and kindness of me, extend that into the world. I have a saying, I breathe in love, I breathe out peace. I breathe in peace, I breathe out love. And so can I live that way in a flow and be that which requires me to make denials when my ego comes up and says, well, who do you think you are? You haven't earned that. You're not a good enough person. And can I deny that that has any power over me? And can I then affirm, I am a child of God. Therefore, I do not inherit punishment. Could be sickness, but I do not inherit punishment. And so then the fifth lesson in the lessons in truth are about faith. Do I have faith? Do I trust this process of life unfolding through me? Do I trust that God's heaven is within me? The kingdom of heaven is there. And do I trust that I have the ability to share that love in the world through my thoughts, my words, and my deeds? Do I have a spiritual understanding of what this is, the responsibility I have, and the blessing I have? I once had, I was in a car with someone, and there was a car, we were traveling, and there was a car along the side of the road fixing a flat tire or something. And I put my hands up and said a little prayer. And the driver of the vehicle said to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm blessing these people. I wouldn't want to be alongside the road with a flat tire. And so I'm blessing them. They said, you think that you can actually bless them? And I said, do you think that you could curse them? When someone pulls in front of you, when someone cuts you off, when someone drives too fast, can you curse them and you believe that has energy? Well, if we can curse them, we could also bless them. And that is the responsibility. Can I bless others? Can I be a blessing to others? If you believe that, it puts you on a whole different level, a whole different frequency of living a life that brings you joy and happiness. Spiritual healing. Do I believe that I can apply these principles of healing? As I said, nowadays we have yoga and Tai Chi and body movement. I think I'm thrilled, and I think that Charles Vilmer is probably thrilled wherever his spirit is, that we have now TV shows and on our phones. You can have Tai Chi, you can have chair yoga, you can have meditation, you can go into any bookstore. You know, there may have been 3 or 4 books about spirituality, and now we have as many books on the shelf as there are cereal in the grocery store aisle. You know, we have a whole cereal aisle, both sides, all kinds of cereal. Well, we have that many books and ways that people are sharing, expressing, extending what they understand in the form of books. So you can go to any bookstore, or you can get online and see thousands and thousands of books about these ideas of practical Christianity. They may not quite, and that word Christian may turn some people off, but just know that it is about that vision that we have that Christ offered us as the teacher and the way shower. These lessons in truth is also reminding us of the great I am, when Moses said to God, "Who are you? I am that I am." And so it's using how we use our language and how we speak. And it's also demonstrating. The 12th lesson in truth is demonstration. If you are part of a recovery group, you know that the 12th step is share. You have to share it to keep it. And so sharing what you know, sharing how you live, being a presence, especially now. I've said this the last 5 or 6 times that I've spoken. The world that we knew before our eyes as a United States citizen and living in the United States seems to be crumbling. And as it's disintegrating and crumbling, we have the opportunity to I would say complain about it, talk about it, let it trouble us, or we have an opportunity to say, I have no clue what's happening. I know that I can be the best person I can be. I'm still a loving spirit. You know, when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, it doesn't grow wings and become a butterfly. The caterpillar uses that cocoon to melt down to a gooey mess. And then after that gooey mess has a time, it reforms itself. The cells come together differently, becomes a butterfly, and breaks out of the cocoon. Also, part of that is if a butterfly is breaking out of its cocoon, you should never help it because it needs to strengthen its wings to fly to its destination. And beating on the sides of the cocoon is how it does it. And so that's part of a process, a metamorphosis that we all go through. Sometimes something happens in the world or in our personal lives that causes us to melt down, to go into a cocoon. And we have to remember that cocoon also contains the omnipresence of God, contains the direction, the guidance that we need, and that we could feel like we're melting down to this mushy mess. And then there is a reformation that happens as we start to reform our lives using whatever happened and whatever is happening to strengthen my connection, to strengthen your connection. That is really the practical part of life. It strengthens your connection with the source. It strengthens your connection with knowing that you are a child of God, that you are connected to the divinity of you. You are a drop in this omnipresence of God. Let's just take a moment now and consider that. So, in a meditation, I'd like you to just close your eyes, take a deep breath. I always encourage you to put a left hand on your heart, a right hand on your abdomen, and that creates a coherence. It creates a cycle. It creates the circulation of your heart energy to your human energy. You get very grounded and very centered in this position. Your body responds, and when we do it and we claim the divinity of ourselves, we breathe in peace. We breathe out love. We breathe in love. We breathe out peace. So let's just take a minute and let whatever I spoke today, however it sparked something in your heart, in your mind, let it just settle in. We ask that your mind, your thoughts, your cells of your body take in today's message, take in today's song, take in today's affirmations. When we breathe in the experience that we had today or in the future, if you're listening on Facebook or you're listening on YouTube, just take a minute to sit quietly and let the energy of this talk, of this community together, filter into you. As it filters down in, we ask that the cells of your body take it in, let it transform, let it raise your energy. This is the secret place within. When we pray affirming, we use the positive energy, positive Christianity, practical Christianity, practical thinking, practical belief system. Say an affirmation for yourself. I celebrate my life. I celebrate my presence on earth. May I be a living example of the truth that I know. May I see the positive energy. May I receive the gifts that each day offers me. May I share those gifts with others in my life. Taking a deep breath, exhaling, and now breathing in again. A deep breath and exhaling. Let's do one more breath. Taking in one more deep breath. Let's say yes to life, yes to the truth that we know. Let's approach each day with curiosity and let that curiosity bring us answers, insights, and awareness to the truth of who we are and what life is about. And so it is. So bringing yourself back into the presence of this room. In your room, since we're all in separate rooms. And now we'll turn this over to Pat, and he has another beautiful heart-opening song for us.
It was perhaps an unusual choice for a service, but I think it actually really works. This is Heaven is a Place on Earth by Belinda Carlisle. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. When night falls down, I wait for you and you come around, and the world's alive with the sound of kids on the street outside. When you walk into the room, you pull me close and we start to move, and we're spinning with the stars above, and you lift me up in a wave of love. Ooh, baby, you know what that's worth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. When I feel alone, I reach for you and you bring me home. When I'm lost at sea, voice and it carries me. In this world we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living. Baby, I was afraid before, but I'm not afraid anymore. Baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow to take each moment and to live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And let it
Sharon, I think that that message, we are responsible for what we think, and we can think positive. We can think love throughout the world, and you brought that message right to us, and that's all about our movement. The New Thought movement is to do that. And Pat, your music is definitely right on and just touches us in every way, and very much appreciate.